Hello there, and welcome to a video. I'm Foxy, and today I'll be teaching you how to make a custom menu or panel in Pavlov VR in your own custom map with the Pavlov Modkit. Okay, so first thing you want to do is, if you don't have a project already, you want to get the Modkit, and you just want to extract it to any folder you want. And then you want to open the pavlov.u project file. And please remember, you cannot change the name of this file, but you can change the name of the folder if you wish to, so you can make it your own. Okay, now UE4 is open. You want to show the sources panel. And if you don't have a UGC folder already, you just want to go to Window, Pavlov Workshop, and then Create New. But since I'm only doing a tutorial, I'm not going to do that. But yeah. So what you want to do is you want to go into Custom Map Tools Content, and if you don't have Custom Map Tools Content, what you need to do first is go to here in your file browser, View Options, and you want to press Show Plugin Content, and make sure that's ticked. Now I'm going to make a new folder called Blueprints, but you don't need to, or you can use it in your own folder, structure, whatever. So then just go into your Custom Map Tools Content folder, and type in Proxy. Now find the one that says Player Proxy, and if it's not here, oh yeah, it's here. BP Player Proxy example. You want to drag that, copy it into whatever folder. So you drag it and into the content browser, you want to press copy here. And you also want to get Game Logic example from here. And you want to also copy that in here. Okay, so next thing you want to do is you want to go and drag your Game Logic into the world anywhere. Now you may have, from a tutorial, already have dragged in the Pavlov Game Logic from here, which is this one, which looks exactly the same, but you don't want to. You want to delete the one that's in your world and make sure this one is the only Game Logic that's in your world. Now what you want to do now is you want to drag your definition onto here, and then set the player info class here to Pavlov, sorry, not that. You want to set the player proxy class to whatever you have. So as you can see, BP player proxy example, BP player proxy example. But there's two of those because it also includes your custom map tools content. So I'm going to rename this to my player proxy. You could also call it like player proxy main or something. And I'm going to call this game logic main. You don't need to name it those exact things, but you know. And then on player proxy, you want to put in my player proxy, and then just leave the rest. And then, yeah, of course, like save the map or something. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to make a widget interactor. Now, this is the thing that's basically going to allow you to in-game have access to the widgets and use them. So, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a new actor, blueprint actor, and call it, I'm just going to call it widget interactor. Alright, and then you just want to go into it, and then in the components here, what you want to do is you want to add a widget interaction. Okay, and we're just going to call this, let's just leave it as that. And then you also want a cylinder, which is what it's going to look like in-game. So I'm just going to have that as cylinder again, and then I'm just going to make sure that's rotated facing the arrow, like that. And I'm just going to scale it down. So hold on, scale it down. I'm actually going to type in these numbers, 0.005, 0.005, and then 0.39, which should be good. And if you enter those numbers too, it will give you the exact same results, which is actually pretty cool. Now, you just literally want to, inside of this red spherical arrow, you want to make sure the start of the cylinder is near or on this circle here, which for me it now is. So that's perfectly fine. You want to save and compile it. Then you want to go to your event graph. And in your event graph, you're going to, this is how you're going to be able to open the menu. Now, I'm going to show you how to do toggle logic, so you have to press the button once to access it, which I believe in VR is the better way to do it than just holding down the button. So this is the way I'm going to teach you now. So you want to get motion controller R, thumbstick, and then you also want to get gamepad right thumbstick button, which is this one. So this will basically give you multi-controller support, so both controllers can use it. I'm going to drag off of pressed from the motion controller R thumbstick, and I'm just going to add a reroute node, and this will make it so that either one can activate this. Now also what I'm going to do is in my variables, I'm going to make a open question mark, which checks if the widget interactor is actually open and in the world. And then I'm also going to make it so toggles question mark to see if it's toggled visible, basically. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do toggled. I'm going to drag toggled off from the variable section and get it. Then I'm going to do not to do not boolean. And then out here, I'm just going to do set toggled. So what this is doing is if the toggled is not, if the toggled is set to no, so it's not toggled, it will flip that and make it toggled, and it will set that for you. So we're just going to drag this into here, which is the exec node. And then out of here, we're going to get a branch like so. And then if it is true, then we're going to set hidden in-game default scene root. Now this will basically make the widget interactor hidden if you're not using it. And you also want to click here, propagate to input. Sorry, children. Propagate to children. And you want to do that. Now what you want to do is out of false, I'm just going to drag this up a bit. Out of false, you want to do set hidden in-game default scene root again. And if you want to, you can use this same one. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to do that for cleaner code. And you're going to set this to new hidden and propagate to children. Okay? Now, what you want to do after this is you want to go over to the thumbstick and turn off consume input, but leave on override parent binding. This will make it so that you can actually use the widget interactor properly without it freaking out and consuming all of your controller input. Next thing you want to do is you want to actually make it emulate kind of like a mouse so that you can actually interact with your widget. So you want to do input, action, event, input, action, or input, action, trigger right. So you want to get trigger right, which is going to be, or trigger left if you want that to be it, but I'm going to have trigger right. Trigger right is the way that it works best. And then you're just going to, of course, wire this up into an exec node. Sorry, a reroute node. And then you also want to get the motion controller, R trigger, which is the right trigger, of course, and drag that into the exec node. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're also going to have released in an exec node. So you're going to drag this out and put it in a reroute node. And you're also going to get trigger right and put it into the reroute node. And then you're going to set this. You're going to do branch. And then you're going to get open from here. Drag it out, get it. And then drag it into the condition. And then you want to drag true into press pointer key widget interaction. Okay? And then just organize it however you want. But I'd put it there because we're going to do two things. Okay? So then we're also going to have out of released, we're going to do the a release pointer key, and then we're just going to set that as widget interaction as well. So just set the widget interaction into the targets of both of them. And then you both on key here, you want to do left mouse button, like that. And you also want to do left mouse button, like that. Okay? Now also make sure, like we did last time, you want to delete consume input on the input action events, which means it will not consume every single thing that you press with your VR controller. Okay, so now we've made the widget interactor, we need to make the actual widget for our menu. So what we can do is we can just, I'm going to drag this here, and I'm just going to make a new, go to right click, and then under advanced asset you want to go to blueprints, or user interface actually, and then widget blueprint. And I'm going to type this in as my menu. And then in here, I'm just going to put a button, which literally just has some text. And I'm just going to put this text as hey there, just as a test. And then color opacity, I'm going to set it to black so you can actually see the text. And I'm also going to turn the font up a tiny bit. Now you don't need to do this, of course. This is just testing it so that you can see that it's actually working. And then what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to drag the button off. Or just click on the button over here. On clicked. You're then going to get button 93. And then you're going to do set color. Set background color, and click this on there, and set it to whatever you want, just so it looks like when you click it in VR, it will actually change the color of the button. And yeah, that's all we're gonna do for this. And I'm gonna advise you that you also add in an image and drag it from the hierarchy to the very back. And what that means is now, if you set it to position X and Y 0, 0, and then drag it out completely, and then of course put it back again, and then set it to something pleasant. So I'm going to set the color and opacity to a very dark grey, like that. Then now it will not look transparent and only just a floating button in game. So now what you want to do is you want to create a new blueprint class, and it's going to be an actor, and it's going to be called actual menu, or actual and then whatever it's called. This is just the naming scheme, you don't have to call it this, but it's just very much so advised that you do. And then what you want to do is you just want to delete all the nodes in the event graph, and then go to viewport, and then in here you want to just add in a widget, and let's just call it my widget. And then in here you want to select the widget as, you want to look at this, you want to search in the search details for widget class, and you want to select the menu. So for me, that would be my menu. Now this is going to look very big, and it's also going to be the other way around. So what you want to do is you just want to rotate it like so. So I'm just going to do, maybe it was the right way around, I don't know. Foxy editing here. I just realized I didn't include the draw size, which basically allows you to actually see the panel. So what you need to do is you need to go to your actual menu, click on the My Widget over here, and set the draw size to this exact value, 1827 1572. This is the exact value which it needs to be for you to be able to see it in game. If you want to resize what the panel looks like, you can then, of course, disable this, start scaling it down and stuff if you want to. But I'm just going to leave it as default. And then that's how you are able to see it in game. Well, then once you've done that, you just want to drag it up until the bottom of it. I'm just going to disable grid snapping. The bottom of it is directly just on that green line there. So it is on the actual thing, and you can see it. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to go into your event graph, and this is going to be the logic to open the menu. And of course this is going to be toggle logic again, because that's what I'm teaching. So let's do motion controller R thumbstick, and then let's just drag out of here and make a reroute node. Alrighty, and then let's get a right thumbstick press, or gamepad, right thumbstick button. Gamepad right thumbstick button. And then of course turn it consume input on both of those, otherwise it won't work. Drag in the pressed. And then you just want to make a new variable, of course, called toggles. And we're just going to get it again. We're going to do a not boolean. And then we're just going to drag off of here and do a set. Set toggled. And then we're just going to drag this over here next to the exec node, wire it up, and then we're just going to get out of here, do a branch, and then we're just going to get the set hidden in game default scene root. I'm just going to drag this over here because we're going to use it for both. And then false, we're also going to set hidden in game default scene roots. I'm going to disable that. Drag the default scene root from here over into target, turn on new hidden propagate to children, and turn on propagate to children on the top. Now this will now open your widget in the world perfectly fine. Now we're half the way there. Now we actually need to spawn it in the world and give the user the widget interactor. So this is where, when we dragged in our custom player proxy and game logic, this is where it comes in handy. So what you want to do is you just want to go into your player proxy, and this will look confusing at first, but we're not going to use any of these right now. So I'm just going to clean it up a bit. I'm just going to clean that and that, and then I'm literally just going to go down and go over here. We're not going to touch any of that for now. And we're just going to make a new custom event. So that's right click to, of course, open that. And then we're just going to call it do give interactor. And then we're going to do also up here, we're going to copy paste that, Control CV. Give interactor. We're going to make sure this one doesn't have anything like that. But we're going to make the second one over here run on owning client, and this will make it so that it spawns the actual thing on the client. So then up here on the give interactor, we're going to be working on this first. We're going to do a switch has authority, and this basically checks if the thing that's running this script is the server or a client. And we want to make sure it's the server because of course it's being run from the game logic, and we're going to add a delay which is a 1.5 second delay, and then we're going to do give interactor, and that should work. Okay, now this is the tricky part, and it's quite long, so you're going to have to follow on, but yeah, it shouldn't be that hard. So what you want to do is you want to go up here, and you want to get the hands proxy non-dominant hands. Okay, and then you just want to copy and paste that down to here. Okay, now what you want to do now is you just want to go to... Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to drag off of hands non-proxy dominant hand and do get attach parent. And I'm going to copy paste this 3 times because that's what you need to do. And then you just want to link the return value to the target and link the return value to the target. And then we're going to get the world transform from here. And from here, we're going to do spawn actor from class. Okay? And I'm going to link this arrow, this exec node, up to here. And that should be all good. Now with the class, you want to set this to your actual menu. Okay? And just make sure that all of these are not used except from spawn transform and this class which we've just selected. Now you want to right click the return value, promote to variable. And this will make a new variable and we're going to call this inventory. Now the reason this is useful, or inventory or menu. The reason this is useful is because then we can use this to get references to it later when we're doing more advanced code. So now what we want to do is you're going to do attach to component. Okay, and then in the target you want to drag in this menu variable, and in the parent you want to drag in this get attach parent. And I'm just going to double click this line and drag it down here so it looks a bit more neat, but you don't need to do that. Make sure the location rule is snap to target, the rotation rule is snap to target, and the scale rule is keep world. Okay, next thing you want to do is you want to drag off of over here, you want to get hands proxy dominant hand. And what you want to do is you want to get the attached parent like that. And you want to again copy paste that 3 times. Drag the return value into there, return value into there. Alrighty. Then you want to get the world transform. Alrighty. And I'm just going to drag it over here so we can actually see it. So right now your code should be looking something like this. A bit messy, but it works. Now all you want to do is you want to, over here, you want to do spawn actor from class. And drag it over here and wire up the exec nodes like that. Okay? Now what I'm going to do in class, I'm going to do widget interactor. Alrighty, and make sure the collision handling override is on default. And then you want to right click this return value, promote to variable. I'm going to call this interactor. And this is going to be like the menu variable we set over here. But instead it's going to hold the reference the interactor. And then we're just going to drag off of this get attach parent over here. So I'm just going to add a reroute node so we can actually see it. I'm going to drag it over here and add another one so it looks all neat like our code. And then we're just going to drag off of here. I'm going to do attach to component. Drag it in here. Drag the target in there. And make sure the location rule is snap to target. And the rotation rule is also snap to target. And then the scale rule is keep world. Like the other one before. So now what you want to do is, this is all fine. You just want to double check that it's switches and authority delay do give interactor. And then all of this nonsense here with this. Then I get world transform, spawn actual world menu, and just make sure your code is the same as mine. And you want to save it and compile it. Now you don't need to do this next step, but this step is just so you can easily go to your stuff again. So this is going to be the menu spawn in logic. This is just so that I can come back to it later because it's a comment, and I'm going to color it to a nice cyan. And now what you want to do is you just want to compile it, and you want to go into where your project is. Go into your game logic, and then in your game logic you should be able to see all of this nonsense. Now this is just a basic example to get you familiar, of course, with game logic's functions, but we're really not going to be using much of this except from one thing over here. So what we're going to be using is near the bottom we can see, try and find for me, called when a player spawns in. So this one. So I'm going to drag this over here, this node, and then over here we're going to use this. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to event on player spawns. We're just going to delete this, and then just drag this area so we can do it better. So what we want to do is you want to wire up the exec node to a branch node. And then over here, you want to drag out a player status, and you want to break the Pavlov player status struct. And this will give you player state, controller, pawn, Steam ID, helmet dead, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Now what you want to do is you want to drag out of pawn here, which will get their player reference, and get has player proxy. You want to return value into this condition, into this branch. And then once you've done that, you also want to do get player proxy. And you want to drag this out, and you want to type in cast to, and then this is the one which you set it to. So this would be cast to my player proxy, which is the one which we set up here. Now you just want to drag this into the true bit, and then as player proxy main, or as my player proxy, you want to give interactor. Alright. And that's it. That's quite simply it. And then you can just close this if you want. And that's fine. So to double check that we've done this all, now we just go into here and we just make sure your definition's in here. Once you've created your DGC folder, select that your player proxy class is the one that you created here, so my player proxy, and that's fine. And that is how to make, in a relatively short video, how to make your own menu in Pavlov VR. If you like the video, please give me a like. If you need any help, you can send a message to me on Discord, and subscribe if you want to see more tutorials on the Pavlov Modkit. See ya.